Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc., the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and your co-host, Ron, SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia Flyers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Hockey Writers Inc. with your host, Lance Green.
All right, guys, back to talk some Flyers hockey. Of course, the season is coming to a close for the Flyers, but for not all Philadelphia-based teams, the Phantoms may be getting a shot at the playoffs here, so we'll get into that as well.
All right. Thank you all for hopping on and joining us. If you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe. I'm your co-host, Ron SteelFlyers, and we would like to say thank you very much for hopping on and joining us here at the Hockey Writers Inc. We're talking about episode number 191, and Lance already just said it. Flyers season's over, but hey, the Phantoms are making it to the playoffs. And we're going to get into all kinds of great stuff here on the show for you this week. So, are you ready to get going, Lance?
I think so.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about a great article that Lance, our editor-in-chief, put out here not too long ago as well here that's going to kind of coincide with what we're going to be talking about here as far as the youth influx coming into the Phantoms and also to the Flyers here, especially at the end of the season. So, are you ready? Yeah, we are ready. Here we go. We're going to start talking about the Philadelphia Flyers. And that's right, folks. After the exit of Mr. John Tortorella and the infusion of Mr. Brad Shaw, the Flyers are now 5-2 now?
Yeah, they've done pretty well, unfortunately, under Brad Shaw. With them tanking like that and not being last in the Metropolitan Division, you kind of hope for them to continue to lose at this point. You don't, if you're a player, obviously you want to do everything to keep your job in the city if you like it. But they started to win some games, and they trying to start the same old song and dance the Flyers always do. They not good enough to make the playoffs, but too good and turn it up at the last minute to actually get a pick that's going to be worthy of anything. So let's hope they don't continue to win games, but at the same time, I like to see the team finish strong. I don't know. I'm kind of torn, Steel.
I know. And a lot of folks are too, especially the fans. Because the fans think, oh, it's just easy to lose games so you can get a better draft pick. But when you listen to what Danny Briere said, especially when they let John Tortorella go, and he was like, look, there's a lot of guys on this team that are playing for their jobs.
Yes.
And they might not be playing for their jobs on this team. They might be playing for a job on another team somewhere because, everybody's looking for everybody, right?
Yeah, they're not gonna be willing to tank. The fans may be wanting them to tank so they can get another Mishkov-esque type player, but you can't expect a professional athlete to want to tank for next season, because for them there may not be a next season. So it's tough for sure to watch these Flyers, but I think it, like in my article, I think it's time to start seeing the fruits of Briere's labor.
I get it.
Yeah,
no, I get it.
I want to see the youth.
Yeah.
But it's tough with the Phantoms being in a playoff run right now. So,
So we got a lot to dive into here, folks.
Yes.
So let's just go start off at the deep end, right? Shall we? You know what I mean? By the way, it was great seeing Hathaway back after missing, what, 19 games?
He was out for a significant amount of time for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great seeing him come back, and look, we understand that the team is not going to purposefully lose. So it's not like I'm expecting that or counting on that. It's it's just that, it's very disappointing. However, Lance and I own another show that we do called Prospect Watch, where we have talked to quite a handful of probably first round players this year. And I got to be honest with you, it
Wow.
doesn't
Yeah.
really matter where Philadelphia lands in the first round because number one, they have 3 first round picks.
Mhm.
Now, granted, the Edmonton one's going to probably be in the late 20s, early 30s. Okay, and then Florida's might be, maybe a little later too, but regardless of where they're going to be picking in the first round, they've got 3 first round picks. Their first round pick will be at least in the top 10. At least in the top 10.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, if I can borrow a phrase from you that you use all the time, you know what? I don't really care where they land. Because, Lance, we have talked on Prospect Watch. Go over to steelflyers.com/link/Prospect Watch show and check out all of the first round talent that we've talked to. And you'll understand why I'm not really worried about it. Because I think there's going to be some pretty decent players available to Philadelphia at any point in time, even as far back as 20th, that are going to be, going to be able to help the team sooner rather than later.
Well, for sure. There's ones obviously within the first 4, I think, that could potentially play as early as next season.
I agree.
And then there's a bunch after them that will be
the next
maybe
15.
a one year post draft, like you're
Right.
seeing a lot of these players that are coming into the league right now for different teams. Demidov being, one of the latest ones that has made his pro debut. But there's a lot of teams, Steel, that are circling the drain with the Flyers. The Penguins are right there with 78 points when the Flyers have 76. The Kraken have 76. The Bruins have 75. The Sabres have 77. So, if the Flyers
very
win,
much in flux right now.
the Flyers win the last, 2 games, that could really shoot them up or back towards where they don't want to be. If the other teams lose.
Okay, so, I get it.
Like you said, if they pick the right people even at 10, say, or 8 or something, if they ended up there, they still be pretty well off, but they have to pick the right people.
Okay, and so even I like I said, Lance, even if they go as far back as 20, because I still think even with the Edmonton pick and the other first round pick, if they don't trade them, if they don't package them up and trade them, or if they just let them go and they just pick where they're going to pick, you know what I mean? Even those players, I think, are going to be helpful to the team sooner rather than later. And I agree with you. Once you get past the first 4 or 5 top players here in this draft, the other players are at least it's the end of their junior season to come up and play the last 10 or 12 games with the big club. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, right? So that's kind of where I see some of those players. But even with the Flyers season coming to an end, and this is kind of the thing that is really frustrating to not just, you and I, but the fans as well, is, where was this back in like November? Where was this back in December or January? You wanted to win. You had a coach that wanted to win, and you couldn't do it. You couldn't pull it off with this equipment. Now suddenly it's like, what happened?
Well, I think the Tortorella effect kind of ran its course, and guys kind of were getting peeved with him, and we're not
Gosh,
seeing
man.
eye to eye, or we're not buying into his ways anymore. And obviously, what ended with Cam York kind of was the last straw. I think
Apparently.
the idea was to have Torts probably finish out the season and then wait till the offseason to hunt for a new coach. But that didn't happen because it kind of exploded at the end, and especially after his coveted Scott Lawton was traded, he kind of just lost all care of being the coach here. So time to move on. That's going to be an off-season question for sure. Do you keep who's the interim coach, or do you bring in a new one?
So
We'll
that's what I
probably
want to
cover
ask
that.
you.
We'll probably cover that more, but
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to talk about, like we right now, because
okay.
honestly, Lance, ah, okay, look, we all know that when a team changes coaches, you get that, couple weeks, month or so bump there, where the team starts playing a little differently because they're under a different coach and a little bit of a different, you know, vibe for the team, and things are being done a little differently. You know what I mean? To some extent. I mean, you're not going to be, as the interim coach, you're not going to come in there and try to, change the world,
Reinvent the wheel, yeah.
especially with 9 games left. I mean, what are you going to do with 9 games? Seriously.
Right.
I think we've seen more than enough of Bradshaw when Tortorella during the preseason was sitting up in the press box, and we were watching the other coaches coach the team,
Hmm.
during scrimmages, during preseason games and things of that nature. And quite frankly, I've seen more than enough of Bradshaw, and I would really like to see him and Rocky hit the bloody bricks. See ya! Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because let's face it, the defense sucks. The power play sucks. How much more do you need me to? I'm sorry, man. I can't paint a good picture when I'm not given any paint. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I definitely would have fired Rocky Thompson at the same point as I
yeah,
fired Tortorello, because Tortorello kind of stuck his neck out there for Rocky Thompson when
I
he had
agree.
not a leg to stand on. You know what I mean? Just he should have been gone, last season, and they brought him back, and
Season
he stuck his
before,
neck out
actually.
for him to keep him around and tried to say he's a great coach. And I mean, I don't know how a guy that has never played a minute of power play time in his career is coaching the power play, but whatever. Let's have an enforcer coach the power play unit. That makes no sense. But
And three
um,
years in a row, Lance,
yes,
in the
yeah,
bottom end of the
yeah.
league.
Yeah, yeah.
Three
Bottom
and
three
and not
every year.
just at the
Bottom
end of the
bottom
year,
every 2 years out of that. Yeah.
yeah, and not just at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. No, 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 no. Pretty
Right.
much from out the gate
Yeah.
all the way through.
Especially when you bring in a guy as talented as Mishkov and you're still not scoring on the power play, something's wrong.
Tippett,
But
Mitchkoff,
right.
Konechny, right? What you got
There's
some
pieces. There's
offensive
pieces
talent.
here. It's not bare bones anymore. There's pieces here that you should be able to do something with. But
Hello.
I mean, coaching candidates in my mind, I would say Shaw is not my pick either. Let him finish out the season, sure, but I would already be calling David Carl from
Yeah.
the University of Denver, and
Yeah.
more importantly, Todd Nelson from
Yeah.
the Hershey Bears,
Yeah. Yeah.
back-to-back AHL champion, coach of the year in the AHL last year. Another strong season so far this year. As soon as their season ends, probably by them winning the AHL Cup again, the Calder Cup, whatever. Yep, get them on the phone.
Yeah.
The
I'm with you.
Capitals are number one team in the East or number two team in the East all season long. I don't think that guy's job's in jeopardy at all. Todd Nelson is just sitting down the AHL. He has years of experience coaching youth, and he is darn good at it. Yes, please bring him in. The Flyers have the youngest teams in the NHL. They need a coach that can coach youth and is used to coaching youth, not one that prefers to play overage veteran players.
Okay, so you're saying you would much prefer a coach that's either at the AHL ranks or even at the junior ranks, because I like the coach of the London Knights. I think that would be an excellent coach. The coach of Denver, like you said earlier, that would be, oh my gosh, man. Can we please? So my question is this: so now you would much rather get a coach from, because let's face it, Philadelphia tried to go the university route when they hired Dave Haxtell, and I think it was under the wrong pretense for him to be brought in here. And he was kind of handed exactly what you were just talking about, a veteran team where he's more used to coaching the youth.
Yeah.
And he got more of a veteran team. You know what I'm saying? And they were already set in their ways and everything else like that. And so, okay, so we're going to take another bite at that apple and try to go with somebody from either college and or one of the junior ranks again. I mean, you got to bring somebody in.
Well,
Um,
I
you know
think
what I mean?
I think so. I just don't want to see the team go back through recycled NHL coaches
Oh,
that have been
please, no.
coaching for 20 years, and this is their sixth, spots. There's not a whole lot of Scotty Bowmans anymore that can hold down a job for a significant amount of time in one spot and retire there, and build a legacy. Most coaches, are here today, gone in the next 3 seasons at
Three
most.
seasons, that's it. That's
Um,
the
I
lifetime
want to
span of
see.
a
I
coach.
don't want somebody else's recycled, coach or trash. I want to see a guy.
Okay, well, let me throw something at you here real quick. If, say, the end of the season and like with
Don't say Rick Tocchet.
I wasn't gonna go there, but just hear me out first.
All right.
When at the end of the season in the NFL they call that Black Monday, and that's
Yes.
usually when all the coaches are fired and all
Yes.
the coordinators are fired and everything else like that. So Black Monday comes for the NHL, right?
Uh-huh.
And if, say, Mike Sullivan's on the list,
No.
okay, I was just throwing a name out there,
Right.
because I've heard a lot of circulation around that, as well as, hey, if Mike Sullivan's going to be available, you should probably look into that. And then I'm going to throw the other name out there too, the obvious one, Rick Tocchet.
No.
And
Amazing
what?
player. One of my favorite Flyers of all time.
Yeah,
But no, thank you to Rick Tocchet
as a coach.
as a coach. Nope. No, thank you. I don't. I like Ian LaPerriere right where he is.
I would not want to offer him the
Nope.
job.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Nope. I think he's good at coaching youth at that level and developing youth, not taking youth and winning championships. As far as NHL level, I like Ian.
Yeah.
I'm friends with Ian, but no, thank you. I don't want a Flyer. I don't want an ex-Flyer as a coach again. We've done that in the past. No, thank you.
No, I'm with you. Okay. Well, so now we've come up with a couple of names, and Lance, you even wrote an article
I did.
about exactly whom you felt might be some good candidates for the coaching job that's going to be awaiting somebody in Philadelphia.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, I gotta say that looks like that might be the sweet job coming up this coming off season, because with all of the number one draft picks that Danny has, the second round draft picks that he now has, third round draft picks that he now has, the amount of capital as far as draft capital. Now he has some cap space as well. He's got some young up and coming talent that we're going to talk about here in a minute. That's going to be coming to the team here shortly. I mean, that looks like that could be somebody's hey, the Philadelphia Flyers would be a great job, and you got Mitchkov here, you got Konechny here, you know what I mean? Those are pretty much gimme all-stars right there. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, let's talk. Bless you. Let's talk about exactly with what we were talking about earlier, Lance, and that's this: the fact that even though the season's coming to an end here for the Flyers, we're seeing some players really standing out, really coming into their own, really taking that next step, I think. And I think it's also partially because of what you said with the Tortorella veil lifted from this team. And we're talking about Tyson Forster, man. I mean, this kid is, we, when he was coming out into the draft, we coveted him and we thought, man, we would really like to see him come onto the Flyers. And you called it, Lance, in your article. You called it when we were on the show, and bang, there he was drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers. And last year, I mean, he did what, 20 goals last year? So I mean,
20 goals
not
last year.
Bad for a rookie campaign.
Sneaky, totals. Like not every night, but just put him up there. But I mean, within the last 5 games, geez, he's really turned it on.
Yeah.
6 goals in the last five games, a hat trick against the Rangers.
Right? First one.
That was awesome to see. Awesome to see.
I know.
But now,
right?
I mean, he's 23 years old. He's coming into his own. He's 6'2", 215 pounds. He's filling out. We're finding this guy. I told you when we drafted him, before we drafted him, that this needed to be the player because he has an NHL caliber shot in juniors, which he showed on a nightly basis in juniors. And now this 2020 23rd overall pick by the Flyers is really coming into his own quite nicely. With 24 goals on the season, he has a shot to hit 25. I think that is, the next plateau guys look at it. 20 goals is nice, but if you can get 25 goals a year, you're starting to be a little bit more respected, in terms
into that 50, 60 point range.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's kind of where
I don't think he'll get there because he's got 41 points, but he's a goal scorer. He is a goal scorer. That's what he's known for. So, I mean, I applaud him because looking at Philadelphia's lines, I mean, he's playing with Noah Cates and Bobby Brink. And, I mean, although that line is really playing nicely together right now, having a guy that can score like this and shoot like this, man, I want to see some other players come up and maybe a Jet Lachenko or somebody coming up to play with this guy.
Now you're talking my language. I got to tell you something. We were absolutely off the radar with Jet Lachenko. I have been completely surprised by how good this player has done in his respective junior league. Now he hasn't put any goals in yet here for the Phantoms, but and then I think it's because he's kind of bouncing around and he's only been on the team for 6 or 7 games. You know what I mean? So I really would like to see him play with some talent and see how he's going to play some good, strong minutes down there in the Phantoms. And I think with the Phantoms making the playoffs, that's going to give him an opportunity to do exactly that. And we're going to get to see just exactly what you're talking about, Lance, some more fruits of Brière's labor, seeing what Jet Lachenko is going to do. And we're also going to talk about a couple other players, too, that, we think might be, doing all right down there, man. You know what I'm saying, right? But way to go to Forster. And, I got to also be honest with you, too. I think Fedotov has been playing much better in the couple of games that he's played where he's been in to start. I think, honestly, I don't think Ersson can be the number one. I think it's too much for him. It's too many games for him. I think he needs to be more the backup guy. I hate to say that because he's got that dog mentality. He's got that, want to be out there, all the time mentality. But I much rather see him as a better player coming in as the second guy. You know what I'm saying, Lance?
Yeah,
Are you kind of on that same boat, or am I barking up the wrong tree?
no. I mean, I think the same token was with Carter Hart. I think
Yeah,
he was a good goaltender. He wasn't elite. And on a playoff team, I think he would be a solid 1A type guy.
yeah.
He's not a number one guy,
Yeah.
and neither is Arison, I don't think. If that is where you want to go to, if you want to be at the bottom with the Buffaloes and the Ottawas, then sure, this is your guy to do that. He's
Well,
an
you can't say
NHL
the
goaltender
Ottawas
for
anymore
sure.
now
He's
because
an
the Ottawas
NHL
made the
goaltender for
playoffs.
sure.
Yeah.
He's proven that. But can he carry the brunt of the load? Can he win games by himself some nights like some of these elite goaltenders that have multiple Stanley Cup rings? No, I don't think he can. Um,
And
and
I
and
understand
and
he's
that's
young.
just like the other article I put out recently. It's the Flyers are still searching for that true number one goaltender ever since I believe Ron Hextall is retired. I mean,
Still, to this
I
day,
think they
still.
had Bobrovsky. They screwed that up by bringing
Yep.
in Briz and pissed Bobrovsky off
Yeah.
and signing him to that huge deal. And
Yeah.
then
Are
they
we
had
still paying
Mason.
him?
They
Aren't we
had
still paying
Mason.
that?
Yes, they're still paying him until 2027. It just doesn't count against the cap. And
Well,
then
hey, all right.
we had Steve Mason, who did an incredible job, but
Yeah,
everybody
I liked
dogged
him.
him, and his numbers were great, and he still could be playing in the NHL. I mean, he's still like maybe 34, 35, something like that, where guys are still playing, but he retired shortly after that. I think he was traded from here and then just kind of fell off. After that, I think Philadelphia broke him. Um,
They seem to do that
yeah.
to players, but then they also seem to have quite a laundry list of players that can't seem to make it here in Philadelphia, but go on to put their name on the cup. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
no, all right, and the
Yeah.
farm team for the NHL is the Philadelphia Flyers. No, but I think what Danny Briere is doing, what Keith Jones is doing, what management is doing now is okay. So we have we're doing a frame off restoration. We're down to the frame now,
Hmm.
right? We still might have to knock off a couple of pieces, but we're pretty much down to the frame now. Okay? So now that means that there's only one more way to go, and that is up. Right? I mean, we get it. Rebuild. The fans have been patient. I mean, you have played to a fan base that has zero to no patience, and I think they've been patient long enough. Okay,
For
I
sure.
I
For
think
sure.
we keep saying this, and I'm going to keep going back to this. This needs to be a watershed year, man. You need to get the coaching right. You need to get some of these draft picks right, and you need to be putting a team out on the ice that's going to be at least sniffing at the door instead of, scraping the bottom of the barrel. You understand what I'm saying? You need to be able to take those steps forward.
Yeah.
And with the draft pick capital that they have, with the cap space they have, Lance, this has to be that watershed year as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to keep saying it until I see it.
No, I mean Danny's put a lot into this offseason. He's gathered most of the
Yeah.
draft picks for this season, for this offseason. As far as last year, it's still the verdict's still out on Jet Lachenko. Let's face it. He wanted Ivan Demidov. He wanted to move up and get him. He didn't. He couldn't. He tried like heck, but he couldn't. Now we see where Demidov is. He's
Yeah.
in the NHL already. He just scored his first goal in his first
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Um, we had the opportunity to draft Zim Bonham, um, but we didn't. Defenseman. We traded back that pick in Minnesota, and now Minnesota's got him up, and he was in talks for the Hobie Baker Award. Obviously, Isaac Howard, and ended up winning that, who didn't sign with Tampa Bay. So that's another one we could be going after right now, Danny, and trying to use those wealth of draft picks to go get.
Why? Why would you need a wealth of draft picks? He doesn't want to sign with that team. All you have to do is offer him a first and a second round and say, thanks.
I wouldn't even offer him a first because everybody knows he's not going to sign with them. So
well, then here's a second and a third.
Yep, second and a third. Start with a second and add pieces to that. But, that's a ready-to-go NHL player right there. I don't think he has anything else to prove in the NCAA. But, you go along with that.
You and Russ were going back and forth on that there for a little while.
Yeah.
Based off of your comment,
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be honest with you, Lance. And based off of what Russ said, that he said there's no character issues at all. He's been watching this guy for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the prospect master. So I'm going to trust what he says, when and say that he doesn't have a problem with him. So you got to Danny, you got to kick the tires on this, man. You got to pick up the phone and at least make the phone call.
Yeah. With Isaac Howard. Yeah, we're talking.
That's what I mean, right? Come on, man. This guy is NHL ready. He's already got the body. What? He's 6'5", 215 pounds or something crazy like that.
No, he's not 6'5". He's like, he's
no?
shorter than that. Yeah.
I thought he was, maybe 6'2".
Iceman is no, he's a shorter guy. 5'11", 190.
All right, sorry, 5'11".
But he's still good. That's still good size. He's solid.
But if you win the Hobie Baker Award, I mean, our boy Aiden Fink was up for that.
Yeah.
Come on now. He had a lot of points this year in the games. You know what I mean?
But that's my thing. What I was trying to get at here is Danny Briere's already kind of messed up a little bit. Let's see how Jet Lachenko comes in next year and if he can really hit the ground running, because that was a big pick. That was a big pick that the Flyers should have hit on. You also had Cole Iserman out there who was in the Frozen Four as well, and they didn't pick him, who I kind of liked. But
that's who we definitely liked.
This draft is definitely going to have to be spot on.
You got to hit them all.
Second round, you got to hit them all.
You got to hit them.
You got to restock the cupboard. You got to clear out the cupboard, whoever's left from, the Chuck Fletcher era, and make space for your own guys. Get guys in to the Phantoms and get them playing the same system that whoever the head coach is for the Flyers is running. That is key, so that they can be plug and play and come into the NHL and not look lost because it's a totally different system than the Phantoms.
I mean, that was the dumbest idea I ever thought I ever heard in my life, was the fact that they didn't care about what system they were running down the Phantoms, and it wasn't the same system that they were running up in the Flyers. I'm like, boy, that's a dome scratcher. Can we fix that, please?
Yeah.
I mean, I also think too, Lance, that there's going to be some players that are definitely going to be moved, as far as when, this offseason comes and that nature as well. But I want to talk about exactly what you were talking about, and that's like the Jet Lachenkos and some of the other, the influx of some of the youth that's coming into the Phantoms. By the way, congratulations to the Phantoms for making it to the playoffs in the second season in a row. So congratulations to Ian LaPerriere and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. And I'll tell you what, folks, the Phantoms have done nothing but put on a display. I mean, they handled Hershey the other night. It was 5-1. I mean, you turned around and blinked, and it was like, woo, 5-1. All right. Okay. with the influx of the players coming now to the Phantoms. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I, and that's exactly what I want to see with the Jet Lachenkos. I want to see him get heavy minutes. I want to see him give him the opportunity to um, uh, be a major contributor, especially in the playoffs here for the Phantoms, right? So we're gonna get to see exactly what we got. I mean, I think when you look at Gendron, I think we know what we got there. I mean, I think that guy definitely needs to be considered for the team next year. You know what I'm saying? I also think too that you also have to look at Luxell, even though they put him on waivers so they could send him back down. Ollie Luxell's another one. You gotta give him some space at least to see what he's gonna be like.
Well,
You
I
know what
mean,
I mean?
Lexell's been called up, over the past 2 seasons, at times, but hasn't really been able to, you know, highlight anything in the NHL. So I think this offseason is going to be huge for him.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? He has been called up quite a few times, but I don't think he was getting it consistently. He was just kind of being like that last guy call up to fill in for an injured guy, and there was a couple of times when he was called up, he didn't even play.
For
You,
sure.
you know what I mean? And so that's no good. If you're being called up and you're not playing, that's no. He needs to be playing. Okay, that's the kind of player you need him to be playing at all times.
Well, I think the same should go with Carson DeWart, who
Yeah.
the Flyers signed for Michigan State. Um, Not my first choice. I think I would have signed T.J. Hughes from Michigan,
Oh,
but to play that spot. But DeHort is playing on the fourth line. I mean, you're bringing this kid in. You're out of the playoffs. Why not put him with some better players to see what he can really do,
down to the
rather than
Phantoms.
sticking him on with Nick? I mean, let's face it. He's a fighter. I don't know. So
And he did score the other night. You know
he
what I
did.
mean? So I mean, okay, but no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'd much rather see him down there playing with the Phantoms and getting used to playing with them, especially with this playoff push. Because to be honest with you, I think the Phantoms have a pretty good shot of making it at least to the second round this year. I
I
mean,
think
they
so.
were they were
Right now,
darn close last year to making it to the second round. You know what I mean?
yeah, if the season ended today, they would be playing Providence, I believe. I think the Phantoms are ranked fifth right now, so they would be playing four, which is Providence in the Atlantic. And I
That's a
think they
pretty good
stack up,
matchup.
and I think both teams are in the same token, in the same situation with the Bruins. They're right there circling the drain with us. So they're gonna have some young kids playing with them as well, who are going to be fighting to make the team next year. So both teams are really really going to be fighting. And I'm excited about Nikita Grabonkin too. I think he's been playing really well. It's the big bodied power forward the Flyers have lacked, that they had so much success with over the years. I mean, your Hartnells, your Wayne Simmons, your Knubles. Why did we go away from this when we had so much success with a, a big power forward? I don't know.
I mean, all you have to do is look at the last four Stanley Cup winning teams, and they all have those big guys up front. I mean, and look, we had a little discussion about the little guys. Lance and I did here because we always talk about hockey pretty much all the time, but we were talking about like the little guys that are below 6 feet, and you just don't see a lot of those types of players with those Stanley Cup winning teams. You see more of the bigger guys up front playing for those Stanley Cup winning teams. And I think, Lance, you're absolutely right. They need to do that all the way around across the board, not just with the Flyers, but with the Phantoms as well too. You need to stop bringing in these guys that are, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10". It's okay if you have one or two of them on the team. Look, every once in a while you get that Danny Briere. Every once in a while you get that, Theo Fleury. Every once in a while you get that, guy that's a little bit diminutive, and you know what I mean. So, but those are so few and far between that why are you constantly bringing in all these guys that are that size? You're just setting yourself up to get run over, and that's what's happened. You see teams that have done that to the Flyers, with that, and so I don't know. I want to see the team get bigger.
Well, it needs to be bigger with the ability to skate.
Yeah,
Like Tyson Forster or somebody like that. Get bigger size. Guys are not the gargantuan ones from years ago that are just gripping up guys and beating them to a bloody pulp. You need some bigger
I mean,
power
I don't need
forwards
a
like a
Zdeno
Tom Wilson,
Chara,
that can skate and can hit and can fight and can do all the things.
and he's over
Where are
six
those
feet
guys?
tall.
Yeah, but some other notables I think that the Flyers should look to bring in since they're in the process of rebuilding is Cole Knuble. He had a great year for Notre Dame this year. Fourth round pick in 2023, Danny's pick, and Alex Bump from Western Michigan. They just won the national championship, and the Flyers drafted him with the fifth pick in 2022 of theirs. So, really, really guys that could come in right now and be playing with the Phantoms, and help them out.
What are y'all waiting for?
Right. You
I
need
don't get
to
it.
get some of these guys that have been in the system for 5 or 6 years out, that haven't progressed out. Get them out.
I
New blood.
I posted this out on Twitter the other day. Next year, this coming season, off season, the Flyers are going to have a brink, a bonk, a bump, and a barquet. Right? The killer bees, right?
That's a
And
lot
then
of bees. Yeah.
you match that with a Molotov jet cocktail. Oh, did I just say that? Oh yeah. Anyway, but you mix that with Jet and Mitchkov. Oh man. All right, sign me up for some of that. Let's go. Put them out there. Let's go. Let's see. But all right. We talked about the influx of players. We talked about the Phantoms making it to the playoffs. Lance, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm ready for this season for the Flyers to be over. I'm ready for this Band-Aid to be ripped off. Okay. I'm ready for the off season to get started because I want to see the new coach. I want to see the new power play coach. I want to see the new defensive coach. Right. Can you please? You got to hit this one, Danny, Keith. You got to hit this one. You got to hit on your first and second round draft picks this year. You got to hit on them. Whether you package up all your first round draft picks and trade up to get that one guy, to get that James Haggins, or to get that Roger McQueen, or whatever you want to do, or if you pick wherever you're gonna pick with your first round picks, use them wisely and get some players that can come in here and help this team. Okay, you got some cap space. This is gonna be a place people are gonna want to come to and coach, and gonna want to come to and play, especially with the likes of Mitchkov, with the likes of Tyson Forster, the likes of Konechny and such and such. I think you need to get to that point though, and that's why I keep saying that, and that's why I keep going back to this has to be a watershed year for the Flyers.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the end of Briere. Sadly, I think he's done pretty well to this point, but he's, like you said earlier, he's tore it all down. You have your cornerstone piece with Mishkov. Now it's time to build around him.
Yeah.
And really get some other pieces. And we don't have bad building blocks with, like you said, Konechny and other pieces that are here already. It's not that horrible of roster with Tyson Forrester and some others coming up. You have some interesting pieces there that a coach could say, okay, I could get in with that. And you got all these other draft picks that are up and coming, maybe in a year or two. All right, like I could get that. It's not starting from nothing, like when Tortorella came in. He literally came into nothing and made them play last season like they were something. And unfortunately, just the team wasn't just buying that hype this season to recreate that. But I think it's going to start with who he picks for a coach. Is he going to lift the interim tag and just hand it over to Shaw and keep Rocky Thompson there and keep the same goaltending coach and Delabaume? That's going to be a problem, and I think fans are going to be tuned out. Like if that happens before any draft, before any free agency happens, I think they're gonna tune out. So I think, like you said, Steel, he's got to make the right moves, and he's got to make them quick, because at the end of the season, even with at the end of some of these other seasons already ending, for Carl in Denver, and sooner rather than later with the AHL for Todd Nelson. Like, you're gonna have to make a choice real freaking quick whether this is what you want to stick with, or if you're gonna bring in a whole new regime. And you should darn well let them pick their assistant coaches when they do come in, because I don't think you should hand them Rocky Thompson and make them work with that. So,
as a coach coming in, that would be one of my stipulations.
Yeah.
I would have to pick my own assistants.
Yep.
Okay. I don't need you to be drafting any guys that are, I don't need any Alan Vigneault guys or be an effing flyer and all that other stuff. But I think with what Danny Briere said, even with what John Tortorella did, he set the standard in Philadelphia. And the standard is that no matter what, I think you're going to be held accountable, so you better be playing your butt off. And I really need a coach to come in there and continue that level. You know what I mean? Because if you shy away from that, now I think you're going to regress. If you're trying to say that he set the standard, okay, then keep going with that. But you're going to need to bring a guy in who's going to hold guys accountable, and not just the Mitchkovs for making one little silly mistake and then benching him for a whole game. You got to do the same thing for the Travis Konechnys and the Sean Couturiers and the, you know what I mean, the Sandheims of the game as well too. So if you're going to hold one player accountable, you got to hold them all accountable. Is what I'm getting at, and I think the Flyers still need that tough coach. That, and I'm not trying to use the cliche, but they do need a Peter Laviolette-esque type coach to try to, come in here and hold the reins of these kids. And with what the coaches you're talking about, to come in here with the Todd Nelsons and such, to bring in who've already held the reins of those kids, I don't know. That's what I think is going to be the make or break. Whoever he brings in as coach, and then whatever he does with those draft picks, Lance, this is going to be make or break, I think, for them.
By the start of next season, the first game, regular season game, we're going to know if this franchise has moved mountains to get better, like they have the chance to, with the cap space, with, free agency, with, the draft, with how many draft picks we have in this draft, and with the start with a new coach. By the game one, we're going to be able to see if this team is going to be contenders or pretenders, and I hope it's not pretenders.
I hope so too. I hope so too. And I
want to
hope
watch.
that they.
I want to watch game. I want to enjoy watching games again.
Yeah.
Not just doing it because I do a podcast and write about the team.
Right? Like, hey, I want to go watch the Flyers game tonight because
I want it to feel not like homework. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. You're supposed to enjoy your job. It's not just a job. It's an adventure, right? But I will say this. Look for some coverage for Lance and I at the Phantoms playoff game. So any home playoff game that they have, we will be there to cover the Phantoms. So that should be really exciting. So I'll be looking forward to that. Lance, you got anything in the works?
Not necessarily for the Flyers. We are going back and forth right now with a player to get on Prospect Watch with us. We just had Roger McQueen on, who potentially could be a Flyer next season or this summer. So check that out as well. That show just premiered, yesterday or the day before?
I'm trying to think here now. Friday.
Right.
So Friday, go check that out. Roger McQueen over at Prospect Watch. That's SteelFlyers.com/links/Prospect Watch, or you can check us out on YouTube at SteelFlyers All Sports Network. Check us out over there with the the Prospect Watch playlist. So be sure to check that out there too. Also, be sure to check out your favorite podcasting platform. Type in your favorite player, like I don't know, Roger McQueen for Prospect Watch, and we come up and you just give us a 5-star rating, and that would be great too. And so thank you very much for that. By the way, if you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe, man. We really appreciate that, and we could really use that to help keeping us going, man. Thank you guys very much for all you do. Lance, thank you for all you do, buddy.
Yeah, man. Love it. Put up with you, and you put up with me for 190 some shows now. So thank you for that.
I keep telling everybody I have the face for radio. So,
That is true. All
right. But Lance, I got to tell you something though, man. Over these last couple of years, it's been nothing but awesome. I think we put together really good material. I think we put out a really good show. I mean, after all, they call us the Batman and Robin of Flyers podcast. Speaking of which, we are a ranked Philadelphia Flyers podcast. That's right, folks. We are in the top 10 of all Philadelphia Flyers podcasts. That's right, the Hockey Writers Inc. So, also, big thanks and props to Jake and the boys over there at lowercaseblues.net. Go over there to their website and check out all their upcoming dates, their swag. They got some videos out there. Be sure to check out Jake and the boys at lowercaseblues.net. Be sure to check them out. They got all their club dates out there, man. And you got to go see these guys live, man, to really appreciate what's going on. And also, when you go to their website, check out one of their videos, man, so you can really kind of just hear what they're talking about. Also, big props and thanks to them for their intro music that we got from them. So, man, big thanks to them guys as well, too. So, I'm your co-host, Ron SteelFlyers, and this has been the Hockey Writers, Inc. We will catch you all on the next episode.